When I was younger, I trained for 3 years to be left with a shitty physique that was nowhere near the one of my goals. All I had to show was a six-pack and a little bit of lean muscle when I really wanted to add size and be big and be respected. And I didn't have any of those things. So during quarantine, this was the first time I actually made a real transformation in a really short period of time. After doing this, my friends all looked up to me. During that whole summer, they all were kind of asking me for advice for the first time ever. Although we were all in the gym training prior to this, I had made a transformation that was so respectable, and it was one of the greatest feelings where I finally felt super proud of my physique, and everyone else around me acknowledged that. So in this video, I'm gonna be telling you the exact things that I did in order to make those training style changes and actually get crazy results in a really short period of time. All right, so let's dive right into it. So one of the most important muscles that allowed me to make this transformation was my shoulders. So what did I do exactly? I did seated shoulder press. That's something I still do to this day. Back then I used the barbell, but now I use dumbbells. And basically, I'm gonna go into the progressive overload system I use in a bit, but that is one of the best exercises that you can do to grow your shoulders is gonna be seated dumbbell press. That's what I use now. And this has been a consistent staple in my training regime for now years. This has allowed me to have consistent growth, whereas I started off with like 40 pounds back in the day, and now I've gone all the way up to 80 pounds and I'm only weighing about 140. So that's 80 per dumbbell. So that's some serious progress. And if you progressively overload these exercises, you're gonna make massive gains. That's all it comes down to, is sticking to the certain exercises that are proven to work and then progressively overloading them. So the next exercise and the next muscle group that allowed me to really make a big transformation was my chest. It's kind of hard to see in this video, but back then, especially when I'm lean, the chest looks really good. So the shoulders and chest are two of the first muscles that anyone's gonna notice if you have your shirt off. And these were the ones I really grew during that phase. So that's what made that transformation look so great for me. And what I did back in the day was a lot of incline dumbbell press. And now what I use is the weighted dips. So I use a combination between incline dumbbell press and weighted dips. These two exercises will get you so big, and that's all I do for chest is those two things. So once again, just progressively overloading it wherever your starting point is, just looking to consistently get stronger and stronger and stronger. This is gonna grow your chest super fast. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do, all the flies, all these things, push-ups. None of that's necessary if you just progressively overload these two exercises. And now the next thing is gonna be my back. I got a lot of thickness and width in my back during this phase, and that all came from doing pull-ups. I would rip pull-ups like crazy. That's my favorite exercise that I still do to this day, and now I do them weighted on the rings. But back then it was just on a regular bar, and it was just, once again, progressively overloading. This is the big shift I'm trying to get across, is you pick the good exercises that are proven to work, and you progressively overload them. So for me, that on back, that was the pull-up, and I also did some sort of horizontal row. You can pretty much choose anything that you want as long as you pick that row, you stick consistent to it, and you progressively overload it. Now, so we're gonna go into the legs. This is not something I trained at that point, but this is something that I train now. So back in the day, I used to skip legs. I know it's not the best, but now I train them, and I only use 2 exercises. Genuinely, that's all I do. And the 2 exercises I use is RDLs and split squats. Once again, progressively overloading, that's all that it comes down to, is really getting stronger on it. So whether you want to use dumbbells or barbells for these split squats, it's up to you. I would highly recommend sticking with the barbell RDL. This is what's allowed me to really progressively overload and add a ton of weight, where the dumbbells, I've tried them with the RDLs, but it didn't allow me to get that same level of strength and progressive overload that the barbell has done. So let me just make sure I didn't miss any exercises. So yeah, those are gonna be all the exercises. And now, if you really wanna make this transformation as good as possible, it's either gonna come down to you gotta assess your current situation. So you either gotta realize, are you skinny, completely skinny like I was, like super shredded, super lean, and do you need to add muscle? Or are you on the heavier side? Do you need to shred down, lose the fat, and add muscle at the same time? So if you wanna make this crazy transformation, that's probably your goal. You need to really align your diet and your nutrition and your lifestyle to the training style that you implement if you really want to make this transformation happen and make it one of those incredible ones where you're super proud. Everyone around you acknowledges what you did and they're all looking up to you as the fitness guy now. And they're like, wow, how did you do this? So it's really just gonna come down to, if you're the skinny guy, you gotta bulk, but you gotta clean bulk. You gotta eat the right things. If you're overweight, you gotta really cut down those calories and once again, eat the proper things. I'll give you some diet advice as well on this video. I'd highly recommend eating grass-fed ground beef. That is something I eat every single day, at least half a pound. That's one of my staples. 4 eggs, I don't eat them every single day, but I try to have them before bed as consistently as possible. That's gonna be great for cholesterol, boosting testosterone, and really just getting your body going. Beyond that, it's really anything that you need in order to fill out your caloric needs. So whether that's carbs, fats, or proteins, it doesn't really matter too much. As long as you get in the requirement for your protein, you can kind of have whatever you want. And I'm not saying to eat ice cream and junk food. I'm saying you can fill that in with whatever things that you enjoy, whether it's like avocado toast as an example, or I have an oatmeal that I make with a bunch of different ingredients. Anything that fits within that spectrum, as long as it meets your caloric needs and you hit your protein, you hit your carbs, you hit your fats, it's really up to you. So back in the day, one of the time when I was in quarantine, I would eat a ton of burgers. Back in the day, it was Bubba Burgers. My diet wasn't the best back then, and my only goal was really to bulk. So I would have Bubba Burgers, I'd have like 2 of them. Those were super high calorie, because that's what I needed at that time, was to bulk and to grow. I remember having 2 Bubba Burgers. I would eat mac and cheese all the time, like this super big bowl of mac and cheese. Because back then, the only goal was to bulk. It wasn't about health. I wasn't too informed at that time. This was maybe approaching 4 or 5 years ago. Now I'm much more health conscious, and I'm giving you the advice from my current standpoint. But back then, I was skinny, so all I needed to do was bulk and add size, and that's how I got it done. And doing that with that training style of progressively overloading got me big. So if this is a transformation you want to make, you know exactly what you need to do. It just comes down to those 2 very important things of progressively overloading the key exercises that I went over, and then also having your diet in alignment with your goals. And I actually forgot, so I'm going to give you now the progressive overload system. It is very simple. What it entails is you going from anywhere from 8 to 15 reps, depending on the exercise, and then you're just gonna take the weight that you're using, let's say 50 pounds, and this is your incline dumbbell. That's what I started with back when I was in quarantine, was only 50 pounds. And you start at 10, let's say. And then the next workout you go for 11. The next workout after that you go for 12. The next workout after that you go for 13, or as many as you can, but let's just say you're increasing 1 at a time, that's all you can do, until you get to 15. And now you start back at 8 or 10, but with the next weight, where it's 55 pounds, and you go 10, 11, 12, right, all the way up to 15, and you do the same thing. This is the progressive overload system that I've seen to work best. 1, because you're lowering the weight a little bit, and you're able to actually get the progress, where it's like, if you're trying to stick in the 6 to 8 rep range, it can be really hard, I've noticed, to progressively overload at like 80, 90 pounds when you're just starting out. But if you stick at a lower weight with more reps, this is also gonna be in that hypertrophic rep range where you're actually gonna build a fuck ton of muscle. Every time I've stuck to this rep range, done exactly what I'm telling you, is when I've gotten the biggest, the strongest, the leanest. It just seems to work best, is sticking to that little bit of a higher rep range with like 8 to 15, and then sticking to weight that's heavy, obviously, but more like the medium, not the heaviest you can do. Like, sure, could I maybe hit 90 pounds on dumbbell bench? Probably, but that wouldn't be effective for growing. Where if I stick to the 70s and I stick at that higher rep range and really rep it out and really focus on hitting that every time, gaining reps every single workout, and then going to a higher weight, that's what I've noticed has allowed me to grow the absolute most. I almost forgot to include that in there. That's super important, is you stick to that sort of framework with the progressive overload. It's very important that you do exactly that. So now you have everything you need to have your dream physique, and this can happen in just a few months' time. In 3 months, you can have your dream physique if you follow those exact 3 steps. You take the most important exercises, you get out your notes, you open up a new sheet and you progressively overload and you track it and you say, I did 50 pounds for 10, next workout 50 pounds for 12, next workout was 50 for 13, and you keep it going until you get 15, move to 55, and you do that with all the key exercises. In 3 months' time, your physique will be unimaginable, and if you couple that with the right diet, you will have the physique of your dreams. All right, so that is all for this video. If this provided you with any value, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and subscribe, because I'm gonna be teaching you how to life max and get better in every single aspect of your life across the board. So if that sounds of interest, then hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.